Dynamite. Give me the other Dynamite. There's no other Dynamite. Ah, fuck it. Dynamite! Wednesday night, Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite.
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey, everybody! Have a great time!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night, Dynamite! It's like a little bit of technical mumbo jumbo going on over here. Yeah, I tell you, Tony Khan bought the rights. Now, let's be honest, everyone. Anyone that is my age will tell you that Tarzan Boy by Baltimora was kind of an annoying song back in the 80s. Now, I didn't like that song, but for some reason, I kind of enjoy it now. It's all right. But I don't know, man. If you followed me for the first 68 episodes of Wednesday Night Dynamite, you know I'm pretty fair when it comes to both shows. I'm a wrestling fan. I enjoy both shows. I praise it when I feel it's deserved. I criticize when I feel it's deserved. And I got to tell you, I think AEW better be careful. They better be careful because they're still doing what they're doing. And it's still a new promotion. I know you're going to say, when do we put that excuse aside? Well, you know, they not only jumped into the limelight, but they did it on TNT. They didn't do it on bullshit channel, you know, or goof.network. I mean, they went primetime, full blown, all in, pun intended. $175 million TV deal with TNT. I think what's happening now is the patience for NXT is starting to pay off. I understand there's no one wrestler that is going to turn things around for any company. You know, Austin Rock, that's like Superstorm Sandy. That's like not a once in every 100 years, but once in every 30 to 40 years, you get somebody on that caliber. You know, we got Hogan in the 80s, and then, 15 to 20 years later, you know, maybe 15 years, but you could see where wrestling has kind of hit the just stagnated a little bit. But anyway, bottom line is, you know, a couple of days ago, I posted this photo on social media. And that represents my mood pretty much every week when I do wrestling, watch wrestling, cover it. Seems like Monday night just always has a frown on my face. I feel like a constipated 90-year-old man that needs a release, and it doesn't come out. Fridays, my second favorite night of the week. Kind of enjoying the groove of SmackDown, 2-hour show instead of 3-hour, keeping the storylines a little bit simpler. But Wednesday Night Wrestling for me always seems to have a smile on my face. And I think I'm going to update that picture every weekend to reflect the last 7 days of how I felt about wrestling for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I got to be honest with you, and I like both shows. You should know that by now. I am really, really curious to see what NXT does in the ratings this week a little bit, but next week, the week after. Now, all I need them to do is improve the graphics on social media. What I need NXT to do is publicize their social media a little bit more. Stop reposting stuff from the bump. Stop reposting stuff from NXT's last week or the week before. Push in the bush. Push. No, they got to really push it. I have always told you all, go check out AEW's Twitter account. Look at NXT's. For 5 of the 7 days, NXT does next to nothing. It almost feels like whoever's in charge of that account only works part-time. They only get active like a day before, the day of, and the day after. But I tell you, you could feel it starting to come together. And tonight, bravo, WWE, for not making these guys, how do you say it? I don't want to say pay their dues, but hey, you come from another company, you gotta take a couple of losses in the beginning. You gotta start at the bottom and work your way up. No. Did you hear that line during their match? Those Rascalz are high flying. Those Rascalz. And you know what was freaking hilarious about MSK debuting tonight? Did you see a few podcasters that actually commented and said, they're actually pretty good? Have you ever watched Impact Wrestling? I mean, they're commenting like they've never seen these guys before. Unbelievable. But not only did they make their NXT debut tonight, they're in the Dusty Classic. And before I even put up the results, the current brackets, after what happened tonight in NXT, I'll show you the overall lineup. And yeah, Don Tony, admit it that you were wrong. Last week, I said that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for 2021 in the men's division feels very lackluster. There are teams in there that, in my opinion, don't belong in there. There are some teams that you could just feel are filler. But when you look at the brackets complete, I'm pretty excited for this year's Tag Team Classic. And kudos for WWE to bring in MSK and get the win. Now, I don't have their new names completely memorized yet, but for those out there that don't know what they're being called right now, Desmond Xavier, who is on your right when you're looking at this photo, he is now known as Wes Lee, L-E-E. Not Lee, L-I, as in Xia Li, Wes Lee. Zachary Wentz, who is on your left, is now known as Nash Carter. So we got Wes Lee and Nash Carter. One thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this, don't we have like 4 Lees in NXT? Don't we have like 3 or 4 Carters in NXT? I mean, we have a lot of Lees and we have a lot of Carters. I mean, I don't know. The names sound a little bit generic. But I like the ring of MSK. You could picture when they start having more and more live crowds, and as people get vaccinated and they start letting people in, you're going to hear MSK chants loud as fuck. I didn't want to curse tonight, but I think I freaking love how they fit in NXT immediately. Now, next week, we have the start of the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And some of the brackets that they've already announced, some of the teams, I tell you, I think the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic may end up outshining the men's side. Because you look at previous winners on the men's side, unless you think MSK, like me, maybe they could pull it off. And man, what a freaking way to start off in WWE and the beginning of 2021. But there's other teams on there, like the Undisputed Era and others, that don't necessarily need to win this, But on the women's side, especially since it's fresh and new, given the women's side, I tell you, AEW better be really careful, because that's why I do the quarter-hour ratings breakdowns, if you notice. I know a lot of people don't care about ratings all that much. Me, I don't pay attention to demos. It's not for us to pay attention to demos. I say it, and I'll keep saying it over and over again until it's brainwashed in everybody. The only people that should be caring about the demos are the advertisers, the cable companies, and the wrestling companies themselves. That's it. That's it. When you see 1/3 of it, put it this way. If anybody that's followed wrestling for 10 years, maybe 15 years if you want to go even further, if you want to go even Monday Night Wars, do you remember the Monday Night Wars when we used to cover ratings? Raw, hour 1, 3.4, hour 2, 3.8, Overrun, 4.2, Nitro, 4.1, hour 2, 3.5, hour 3, 3.1 for a combined. Do you remember anybody ever bringing up demos? Do you think demos in advertising only started 5 years ago? When TNA Impact, when it used to be 1.5 ratings, 1.3, 1.1, 0.8, hint, 0.6. Do you remember them ever bringing up demos? Seriously, do you ever? I mean, people only bring up demos now because they want to use the demo as a way to make their favorite company look better. When WWE loses 40% of their Raw viewers over the last 2 or 3 years, have you seen anybody break it down by the demos? No, all they say is, wow, the viewers went down 40%. Well, how do you know if maybe that's a lot of this 60 to 80 demographic? Maybe they died. Maybe the 18 to 34 are now 25 to 34. They don't break it down. These people have an obsession with bringing up demos. And you look at other fan pages for other forms of entertainment, they don't do that shit. These people are whack. But there's no denying AEW's numbers for some of their stars has dropped. You notice last week I pointed out that they haven't used the term demo god in a very long time because the Inner Circle's quarter-hour ratings have been lackluster. Kind of weird that tonight suddenly they bring out demo god. It's interesting how the Donzilla Army, tuning in live right now, and by the way, shout out to all of you, and yours truly, point out for 4 weeks that the Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher's storyline makes zero sense because Ciampa was looking to school the new school that have disrespect for the old school and think that whining and crying on social media gets them what they want. Timothy Thatcher represents zero of that. And after 4 or 5 weeks, over and over and over, the Donzilla Army bitching and complaining, tonight, for the first time, Timothy Thatcher actually says in the face-to-face with Ciampa, all the things that you said you did, you believe, I'm with you with all of that. Why didn't they do that 4 weeks ago? You notice little things like that? You better be concerned about some of the ratings in AEW because some people are starting to say they're getting sick of this Inner Circle stuff. They feel like some of it has jumped the shark. I mean, I don't like using medical terms because I know some of you out there actually battle some of these illnesses, but the Inner Circle comes off as like bipolar or split personality or some disorder. And it's not storyline. It's the way it's being written. 4 weeks ago, they're in Las Vegas getting drunk with midgets and Sammy Guevara getting married 3 times. And then 2 weeks later, if we don't straighten out, we're breaking up. And then 2 weeks later, no, everything is good and it's good. And 1 week later, now all 6 members are going to fight each other. What about last week? Oh, Hager and Wardlow, they just need to get out of the system. This storyline with the Inner Circle is a fucking mess. A mess. It's god-awful. Oh, and by the way, let's open up with this. Let's have some fun. You see all this stuff, this nonsense? If I know a lot of you out there are sick of me addressing goofs, and trust me, in 2021, we are not going to address them. Unless it's something seriously important. And I think the Jericho COVID story is very important because you have whack jobs out there that are trying to throw in AEW's face like, what was that about sloppy shop? Then you got whack jobs that are saying that Tony Khan should do some type of action against Chris Jericho for working every episode of Dynamite in the month of September while he had COVID. Then you got weirder whack jobs that are ripping the whack jobs, saying that they're causing controversy and they're bringing up the same thing. Okay. For those that don't know the full story, is Chris Jericho on his podcast over the weekend revealed that he had COVID maybe in September. Maybe in September. Now, the maybe everybody took as fact. That part I don't really have a problem with because they are tested every time they go to AEW. So if he tested negative in August and tested negative in October and tested positive in September, you caught COVID in September. I mean, come on. A 95-year-old vegetable brain dead on a ventilator could answer that. But let me just dispel all of these jerk-offs out there that are saying that Jericho worked every episode of Dynamite in the month of September while he had COVID. First of all, most of these people saying this don't watch AEW. They don't pay attention to AEW. And it's not just regular casual fans. These are podcasters. These are websites. These are very dangerous people because they have a following and they do this stuff. And then you know what's going to happen. When they realize that they royally fucked up about this one, they'll say, oh, we were just joking around. Come on, we were just kidding around. Come on, you got to laugh. Ha ha. Well, if anyone out there that is a little concerned or thinking that this could have possibly happened, that Jericho had COVID and worked AEW while under COVID, let's rip this story apart. Let's put more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Chris Jericho caught COVID in September. He worked every episode of Dynamite in September. I want to give you the week by week of what Jericho did on Dynamite in September. On September 2nd, he fought Joey Janela. It was a live show. On September 9th, he teamed up with Jake Hager and took on Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. On September 16th, he actually took on Private Party, teamed up with Hager. On September 22nd, which was the late night Dynamite, he was on commentary. The next day, when they were live, Jericho was backstage with MJF, did some segments. On September 30th, he teamed up. Actually, he took on Isaiah Cassidy one-on-one. So let's just repeat that. I'm going to add a couple of words I didn't say before. September 2nd, they were live. He took on Joey Janela. September 9th, they were live. He teamed up with Hager and took on Janela and Sonny Kiss. On September 16th, it was a tape show. The show was taped September 10th. The September 22nd late night Dynamite was a tape show. When was that taped? September 10th. September 23rd was the next live show. So between September 10th and September 23rd, AEW had 0 shows. September 10th, they did tapings for 2 weeks and then nothing. So when people out there say that Jericho worked the entire month of December while he had COVID, he could have caught COVID immediately after the tapings, just like Drew McIntyre I don't know if you all tuned in on Monday. And this is why I try to do a little research before I talk about topics. I'm not interested in getting this on Twitter. I actually try to do research before I bring things up. Something that Mish and I talked about on Monday that I think was extremely important about Drew McIntyre and COVID. And a lot of people still haven't figured this out. Did anybody find it concerning that Keith Lee wrestled Monday against Sheamus, did the tag team match with Miz and Morrison versus Sheamus and Keith Lee, and then wrestled Sheamus? Anybody find it a little concerning that Keith Lee wrestled Drew McIntyre 1 week before? Drew McIntyre caught COVID. So why wasn't Keith Lee put in isolation for at least a week, for miss at least one episode? Because the most likely scenario, and I've gotten some emails after this saying that the scenario that we brought up is what happened. Drew McIntyre came in contact with someone after the Legends night, and that person caught COVID. Drew McIntyre went and got tested, and he tested positive for COVID. He was negative for Legends Raw. A couple of days later, he was positive. That's why Keith Lee was not put in isolation or quarantine, because Drew McIntyre got in contact with someone who had COVID after Legends Night. The same scenario probably applies with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho came in contact with someone who had COVID after September 10th and caught it, showed no symptoms. 13, 12, 11 days later, had no signs whatsoever. And when they came back live on September 23rd, Jericho tested negative, and they kept him off of matches for an entire week. Because he did I'm looking at the notes here. He did the commentary for the 22nd, which was taped the 10th. But then when they went live the 23rd, he only did a backstage segment. He didn't wrestle again until the 30th, which was taped on the 25th. That is about 2 weeks after the last taped episode. So for anybody out there that saw all this clickbait stuff, there are some people out there that do that intentionally to get hits and videos and this. You got people on social media that just want to get tweet fucked all day long. And all this nonsense about Jericho and COVID, sloppy shop, Tony Khan should be ashamed of himself. Tony Khan knew, he didn't know, he just said. They did nothing wrong. It's just everybody out there. There's a saying that I've been living by since 1997, doing the hotlines. It's weird because there's people live right now that have followed me since 1997. My motto back then was, and I'm going to reveal something now that you'll get a good kick out of. When I started doing a wrestling hotline in 97, one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to report everything accurate. I didn't have sources in 1997. As I got popular and as it got bigger, that's when people would get in touch with me and give me this and tell me that. And, you would sift out who actually has connections and who doesn't. But when I started my hotline and was listening to all of the garbage, like you saw with this Jericho COVID stuff, back in 97, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like that. I'd rather be right than be first. So my catchphrase that I always said on my hotlines was, I don't want to be first, I want to be right. That's since 1997. But another reason why I said that was because in 1997, I had no connections. I had no sources. So there was no way I was ever going to be first. So I said, okay, I don't want to be first, I want to be right. But I was forced to be second, third, and fourth because I had no connections to verify stuff. So, yeah, that's a legit thing. So it sounded great in 1997, but the reason why I said I don't want to be first, I want to be right, is because I could never be first. Nobody was giving me scoops. So it was up to me to try to research as much as I can. And I still live by that today. But when you hear me always addressing all these people online that do this shit, You just got a top lesson in it with Jericho and COVID. That is not a story. Jericho getting COVID is a story. Nick Jackson getting COVID last year also is a story, because COVID hits people all different ways. You know, it's not like, oh, he had COVID, oh, but he's good now. You know, it's not. There's some people that have some permanent issues. Some people never get back to 100%. That's why, and I know a lot of you know this already, but for people that don't know, you know, it was a pretty emotional day for yours truly on Monday, because in 6 days, I will be getting vaccinated. I have an appointment already set. I have my parents booked for the same day, time, location as me, and we're getting vaccinated next Tuesday. It's going to be an interesting 7 days from now. You think about the inauguration and all the crazy shit that's going to come out of that. We think about the wrestling we saw tonight, Thursday, Friday. You know, getting vaccinated is pretty... I tell you, the first 13, 14 days of January have been total nonstop action. Not all of it's good. I mean, what's going on in our country sucks. But that's why we're all here, to get our minds off of that crap, all that noise for a little while. And by the way, shout out to Mish, who's live right now, my brother from another mother, just to show you how much I care for my brother from another mother. Some of you may have no problem with this. Some of you may get angry. Take it out on him. He's here. Curse him out, you bastard. Tomorrow, the Q&A returns. Yeah, no, I know the champagne shot is 2 weeks old, and we will not be drinking champagne tomorrow. But tomorrow, the return of the Q&A, ask me anything, talk about whatever you want. Want to talk politics? Fine. Want to talk about food? Fine. Want to talk about movies? Fine. Want to talk about what's going on with the fucking Marvel and them trying to stop shit? Fine. You want to talk about Lita and her revealing, you know, WWE basically said to her, sex celebration or you're fired. Whatever you want to talk about tomorrow, I'm here for you. But, start time is at 10:05 p.m. instead of 9:05 p.m. Because Wrestling Soup, this is my fault. I completely forgot they do an after show for a little while. Their show does end normally around 9 p.m., but they stick around for a little while. And I know that there's a boatload of you out there that are loyal supporters of Wrestling Soup. Some of you out there that may never have checked out a show, check it out. Thursday night, 7:30 p.m., WrestlingSoup.com. But I don't think it's fair for me to go live at 9:05 where they're still doing after chats and after shows and everything. So to distance it out a little bit, I will be going live Thursday at 10:05 p.m. Maybe that settles in around 9:30, but I'll be honest with you, I like 10:05 because if you look at the schedule of the shows, Monday night starts at 11:05. There's no way to get around that because Raw ends at 11. But Wednesdays is 10:05. Thursdays will be 10:05, my math. And Fridays will be 10:05. So we got 3 straight days, all 3 starting at 10:05. So if you want to join me tomorrow, 10:05 p.m. start. And once YouTube posts that update that we can do pre-shows before the actual shows, I'll come up here like a half hour before and we'll just off the record, just whatever we want to get into. So yeah, join me tomorrow night. And then, you know, we got the usual show Friday. But much love to everybody. Big shout out as always. And as I say, if you enjoy the show tonight, I'd appreciate it if you smash that like button. That tells YouTube that you recommend the show and they will send it. Do you know last night, no joke, I was checking out another wrestling podcast. I don't want to say who it is because his head's already this big, but he's a good guy. Excellent guy. I was checking out his podcast. I fell asleep last night. And when I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning to take a leak, I went back to the main menu and it said recommended podcast. And the second one was Mish and I. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So anyway, much love to everybody out there. So we now have Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier in NXT. And I loved the reaction on social media. I mean, the reaction in NXT is a little different. By the way, I don't know if any of you out there are getting these invites. Somebody tweeted me earlier, they got the same invite, and I got one today too, and it was weird. WWE is using an outside company now for the being not Thunderdome or, you know, the Capitol Wrestling Center as far as the video goes. And I got invited to be in NXT today. I never registered. I never signed up. I just got the email saying we'd like for you to be part of tonight's thing. And I wanted to do it so bad. The problem is I cover AEW and NXT when I do these shows live for all of you on Wednesdays. It would be almost impossible for me to watch AEW and watch NXT and be on video in the Capitol Wrestling Center and take notes. And I know I do a lot, but I don't think I could get away with that. The show would be so messy. Oh, Dorian Mesa, yeah, said it right. Dorian was the one that contacted me earlier. And look, I understand the reason why they do that, because they don't want the trolls to show up. They don't want people who are going to go into business for themselves and, you know, show AEW stuff or, you know, their own stuff. They have people who they can trust, people who have done business on the shop site, people that are familiar. They don't want to use many registrations that are brand new, which they welcome, but there's a little bit of a screening process involved. And believe it or not, here's a little thing that all of you out there should know. Now, if you want to be on video for NXT shows, the Thunderdome thing, you have to be 18 years or over. I mean, you could lie, you know, and say that you're not 18, but you now have to be 18 years old or over. And yes, Dorian, you're right. They asked us for driver's license information. I mean, not for nothing. I think that's a little bit too much of an invasion of privacy on WWE's part. You don't need to know my fucking driver's license number. It's almost like any of you out there ever like enter like a liquor website, and before you could even see the bottle, or even the Jericho, the bubbly stuff, when you went in the website, it said, type in your age to continue. I mean, you can't just click a button. You have to actually type in an age. Now, everybody types 1/1900. Everybody we're the oldest people around. We're 121 years old. But for WWE, they're actually asking for, yeah, I'm serious. People are free, like, surprised. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. If I get the invite for next week, I will screenshot it and I will show you all the process. They ask for an awful lot of information. So, but anyway, so tonight, AEW, NXT, I thought were decent shows. Having MSK show up was fun. Having Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers show up, you all knew this was happening last week because we figured it out last week. Remember when they flashed the Elite was going to be wrestling next week? Remember last week? You remember when we were doing the show and we all wondered, did they spoil that early because the Young Bucks didn't do the Too Sweet thing with Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers yet on Dynamite last week? But then a lot of us towards the end of the night said, wait a minute, if Omega teams up with the Good Brothers, then nothing was spoiled. They just said the Elite. They didn't say who was going to be in the Elite, but almost all of us, and it was on the timestamp last week, that Kenny Omega was probably going to team up with the Good Brothers today. And it happened. And I loved every minute of it. But I had one thing that I loved especially, two things I did not. I loved when Don Callis was talking about how the band was back together and he was introducing the World Tag Team Champions. And in the back of my mind, I'm saying to myself, you got to say Gallows and Anderson. You got to say Gallows and Anderson. You got to say Gallows and Anderson. Because what happened right before they came out for their match, the Young Bucks were in the back. And Kenny Omega and Don Callis, they agreed that they would have their separate entrances. Even though they're the Elite, they would have their separate entrances. So Kenny Omega comes out first. North Carolina! He came out first with Don Callis. And here is almost everybody online expecting the Young Bucks to come out. And he says, you know, introducing the tag team champions, Kenny Omega's best friends, the Good Brothers. Fucking loved it. Because it makes the Young Bucks now kind of look like, you know, owned a little bit. But that's actually pretty good because the Young Bucks right now, I don't know if they should reform, like that right now as far as Kenny Omega. And I don't even know how long this Elite storyline is going to continue because as we talked about last week, Gallows and Anderson are not going to be regulars on Dynamite. So if Gallows and Anderson are only going to appear tonight to push the pay-per-view, or maybe they show up again once in a blue moon, that's not like people were saying the return of the Bullet Club or NWO or something like that. When those groups were in full force with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and others, they were out week after week after week after week. So this Elite, I don't know. Notice how we don't see like a lot of merch being pushed for that as of yet. So I loved Gallows and Anderson going out there. I loved Don Callis doing his intro. There was actually two things I didn't like. First off, see how Taz did commentary for Darby Allin's match against Brian Cage, which honestly I thought sucked. I thought it sucked. Because the finish, this is why I'm a little concerned about AEW. That shit started jumping the shark in TNA 10 years ago. Having Sting knock out Ricky Starks totally unconscious from a plastic back to the ribs that we have heard people laugh and Sting talking for the last bunch of years for WWE and all those Q&A things about the plastic bat. To see that now and see Team Taz like scared. I'm telling you, it's like I said last week. You ever see those rodent things that you plug into your outlet and it's supposed to make such a loud, high-pitched sound that we don't hear it, but the bugs, it drives them crazy and they go to your neighbor's house instead? I mean, every time Sting comes out, Team Taz turned into invalids. Nobody tried to attack him. They're just standing there. And Brian Cage, this is nothing against him personally. I'm just talking about the character and the perception of what I saw tonight on AEW. Brian Cage is standing on the top rope like, and Darby Allin just dumps him backwards and he gets fucking pinned. The crucifix. And then the commentators is pretty funny because they started to try to say that Darby Allin used his weight. Oh wait, we forgot he only weighs like a bag of sugar. No, Brian Cage's weight came back to haunt him. The fuck does that mean? The spot was bad. It's bad. Look, I like the commercials that air on TNT during the week. TNT, give them credit. They push the shit out of AEW. Days that AEW is not on, if you don't watch TNT, turn into TNT for a couple of hours once. Even if you're not even watching TV. You'll hear. But if you notice on TNT now, when they push AEW, 3/4 of their commercials, it's Sting! It's all about Sting. And I understand you advertise the shit out of Sting because he is a Hall of Famer. He is a larger-than-life star. We've all loved Sting's career. But they have totally forgot a lot of other things. Look at Moxley today. And here's the second part that I hated about the Elite's match. Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., and Johnny Bravado, whatever his name, Danny Limelight, I think his name was. Wasn't a bad match. I actually thought they did pretty good. But two things I think they screwed up royally on. Number one, as I just said, Taz was on commentary during Brian Cage's match, which was fun. Don Callis should have been on commentary plugging Impact Wrestling to death. Because the announcers, after all these fucking weeks, what's the name of that pay-per-view? Hard to get laid? Hard to eat? Shoot to kill? Like, they didn't say that, but they were trying to poke fun at the jokes. My God, this is a working relationship, and the end result is to try to get people to buy the fucking pay-per-view. Don Callis should have been on commentary, selling that fucking pay-per-view, getting into arguments with the AEW announcers. He should have been shilling that. Number two, I mean, is it Rich Swann's fault and the Motor City Machine Guns? or is this Impact Wrestling's fault? How do you never have Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns not show up on AEW Dynamite to fucking try to get at Omega, to try to get at the Good Brothers? I mean, this lead-in, and by the way, Impact's hard to kill. I am going to do predictions on Friday. I will do predictions on Friday. You look at the card. It's not a bad card. I tell you, the card actually looks pretty solid. You know, even though that Karate Man with Ethan Page, I mean, it's going to be some pre-recorded bullshit, I think. But the baby doesn't look bad. But what, honestly, let's be honest. And look, if you disagree with me, please, in the comment section tonight, speak up. Because I mingle with everybody now, and I want to see. A lot of you sold me on Pat McAfee and others. Sell me on this. The only part that I have liked so far of the whole AEW Impact storyline was seeing the Good Brothers on Dynamite tonight. That's the only thing. Because, to me, this is done. The first week that Kenny Omega showed up in Impact, it popped a little bit of a rating. Justin Roberts used it as part of his intro the following week for Kenny Omega. Since then, last week's ratings were lower than the average rating in 2020. Think about that for a minute. Last week was what? January 5th. It was January 5th. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 1-5. What holiday's January 5th? Did we have Tuesday night football? Did we have political debates? Did we have the riots last Tuesday? What was last Tuesday? Impact's rating was lower than their 2020 average. I mean, and it wasn't a best of show. Anyway. So AEW's got to watch out, man. The inner circle stuff, more and more people, not everybody, but a lot of people, not the majority, but a lot of people are now feeling this shit has jumped the shark. I mean, you and I said about a month and a half ago, Sammy Guevara is going to get the Randy Orton treatment from Evolution. Sammy Guevara is going to be the one turning babyface. Now, a lot of you have been asking me to do 2021 predictions, like at the beginning of the year, tell me like things that I predict. Maybe I will do a special episode for that. But one of the things is Sammy Guevara is going to break out on his own as a babyface. There's going to be some standouts in both companies. So I think maybe this week I'll do one, or maybe I'll ask Mish. Maybe we'll do one together. Just what we think is going to happen in 2021. But this inner circle stuff feels like it's jumping the shark. It feels like it's skits. The Dark Order, I'm going to say something now. I don't know if any other podcaster has ever said this. I don't know if anybody on social media has ever said this. But I tell you how I feel about the Dark Order right now. Whether Brody Lee was with us, and by the way, I'm wearing his shirt one more night. Actually, let me put the mic like this, kind of disrespectful. Actually, let me sit back a little bit. If anybody out there that wants to order this Brody Lee shirt, EC3, put it out in the store. All of the proceeds go to Brody Lee's family. So if you want to go check out, I'll stand up. This is the shirt. You know, I love it. I wanted to wear it one more week as a little tribute to him. If you want to buy the shirt, the link is on the YouTube description, the channel, the video, and order it. And I tell you, oh, cool. Few people in chat, Neil and others, just got theirs. So, yeah, that's awesome. And EC3, you know, much love to him because, you know, I wanted this shirt so bad for last Wednesday's show. And I don't know if he, you know, gives everybody, you know, that next day shipping and all that, but I got my shirt, a couple of autographs as well. And I was like, that's pretty cool, you know? So, yeah, look, do I think I got any special treatment? No. I think it's because of, you know, just giving the extra effort, you know, because he puts out some good stuff. And is very, very thoughtful of this shirt. I know there's other Brody Lee tribute shirts out there. Buy any of them. If you could buy all of them, buy all of them. But, you know, it's the Dark Order. Especially after watching all that backstage stuff from Being the Elite, that episode, what was it, 263 or whatever it was, 236, I don't remember. The Dark Order, to me, and I don't know if you feel this way, it feels like it's changed from a cult to a fraternity. Anybody agree with me with that? I mean, does it feel like that to you? Because when I saw the Dark Order segment today with Hangman Page, and they're saying, you know, you got to join the Dark Order, team with us next week, and this and that. Like, if this was a month, 2 months ago, it almost felt like you must join us. If you don't join us, we will beat the living shit out of you. Now it feels like, come on, join us. You can have a drink, yell. The Dark Order. And again, I don't know if anybody else has said this. And if someone did, props to them. I'm not trying to claim to be first with it. But the Dark Order, to me, in the last couple of months, has changed from a cult to a fraternity. And guess what? I like it. I like it. Because one thing I said the beginning of 2021, which was only 13 days ago, I said that 2021 needs to be simpler, fan-friendly, more positive. You don't need everything to be complex storylines. And a lot of the very complex storylines have gone to shit. We still have no idea who laid out Jon Moxley in the back. They've totally screwed up on Jon Moxley in the last month and a half. Jesus Christ, what they've done to that. The Mysterio, Aaliyah Murphy storyline has gone absolutely nowhere. They did this whole complex thing, and look where it is now. Retribution. You know, it was funny because I don't usually comment on wrestlers' social media pages because they're talking in character and storyline. And I don't want to be one of those that, you know, like talks as, it's still real to me, damn it. But, you know, Ali didn't talk on Monday. And last week, I'm sure a lot of you saw that segment, Raw Talk, whatever that show is, where, you know, Charlie Caruso was talking about, did you hear the noise? And pretty much Ali's like, yeah, fucking LED screens, you idiot. I mean, it wasn't intentional, but Ali's playing off on that now on social media, saying that WWE won't give him a mic. People are believing it. And that's actually a good thing. People believe it. You don't know where the line is blurred. But on Monday, after T-Bar won his match, Ali immediately goes on social media and says they wouldn't give me a mic. And my response, I had to respond to this. I don't know why I did, but I had to respond. I said, your retribution. You take it. That's the storyline. You take what you want. If someone gets in your face, okay, oh, fuck well. You know, so these complex, really complex storylines have all evaporated into crap, to be honest. So 2021 needs to be more fan-friendly, enjoyable, more smiles on the face. You don't have to have so much deep thinking about stuff. And the Dark Order storyline, like I said, the fraternity, I fucking like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Let's see where it goes. They obviously need a leader, maybe a couple of oddballs in there. Here's another thing about the Dark Order, too. Here's another thing. You look at the Dark Order from 6 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago to now, and almost every time you saw them in the back, cutting promos, in the ring, nobody would smile. It was always tension, anger, anger, tension, tension, anger, anger, tension. Now, everybody smiles. Oh, join us, you know? So I like it. I like it. But, so the shows today were okay. There was a couple of matches that I honestly had very little interest in. Before we get into the TV results, and by the way, like I said, Friday I'll do Impact predictions. Tomorrow, anything goes. So whatever is on your mind, everyone, make your lists. Tune in live tomorrow and be prepared. And we'll chat for, you know, however long we need to go. Also, by the way, before I go any further, I wanted to give a special shout out to someone. It would be very rude of me if I did not. shout out to Neil Ray. Shout out to Mish as well and everybody else. And he thinks AEW needs a little bit of help. They're getting a little bit lazy. This Inner Circle thing feels, what are we going to do this week? You know what? Let's just tease it. We're going to break up. Oh, okay. What are we going to do next week? We'll just put a match together. I don't feel like doing a one-on-one, so we'll just all split up into tag teams. Then a week later, what do we want to do? We can just hang out. It just feels, I'm sorry if it comes off this way. AEW, if you're watching, a lot of people tuning in right now, we have no angst against AEW. We're not trying to get banged. It's perception. And especially the Inner Circle stuff, it feels very, very lazy. It feels like we're still in the holiday season and you're just trying to get by with weeks. We'll just do a little talking segment. We'll do a throwaway match. I mean, everything about the Inner Circle is from within. And meanwhile, 2 months have gone by, and does it feel like Sammy Guevara has advanced any further in matches? Hager and Wardlow was great. The only person that feels like he's advanced in the last 6 weeks is Wardlow. The MJF storyline, you could feel, he wants the power and everything else, but it's just treading. Jericho is just treading. Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz feel like they're potted plants in the background that happen to talk. And then the joke today, Sammy and Jake Hager. This one I kind of laughed at. Sammy and Jake Hager are going to team up next week. They're going to take on Jericho and MJF and Santana and Ortiz. It's a 3-way tag team match. Sammy and Jake Hager. Sammy Hager. It's not what it takes, so tell me why can't this be love? I hated that version of Van Halen. Sammy Hagar? Yeah. Well, that's why when Jericho said, that's funny, Sammy Hagar, that's funny. And, Guevara had no idea why Jericho said that. And Jericho's like, never mind. That's why he said that. I know, it's an awful name. But, yeah, no, some of the stuff is very, oh, my God. Dayak, he likes Reba. She's wacko, too. And in character. I think on her Twitter, it says, I'm not Reba, I'm Rebel. You're Reba. As far as TV, you're Reba. Go along with it a little bit. I'm not Reba, I'm Rebel. Maybe she has changed it by now. That dentist segment with Britt Baker today, I mean, I like Britt Baker a hell of a lot more than a year ago. A year ago, I was calling her Dr. Shit Baker. I was also calling her Britt Bella, because that's the same vibe I got about Nikki Bella. She's obviously improved in the ring a little bit. Having Adam Cole on your side is a pretty big deal. And she's gotten better on the mic. But can we leave these backstage dentist office skits alone? The match that she had with Big Swole, to me, is on the level of Sharmell and Jenna Maraska. That's how shit it was. Tonight's segment was so fucking awful. And you saw that a mile away, because once we found out that Brandy was pregnant, remember the conversation we had here? What did we say? Red Velvet, for just no reason, we'll just start beating up on Jade Cargill. I almost said Jake. Jake from State Farm. Jade Cargill. And I like Jade Cargill. I've sung the praise for her since the day she debuted for AEW. Wasn't spectacular debut, but I like her. She's actually not bad. But that segment today was ridiculously awful. It was horrible. Not even funny horrible. like dumb humor horrible. We've watched a lot of comedy movies over the years that have been rated god-awful by Rotten Tomatoes and everywhere else, but for some reason we laugh our ass off and love it. This doesn't even fit that. That was painful to watch. I mean, if you would have done that as like a backstage thing for Dark, or maybe a segment on AEW Heels, all right, that's fine. But to try to push us in a way they did with Britt Baker and announcing her against Thunder Rosa on, I think, February 3rd, I believe it is. Oh, it was just awful. Freaking awful. Just absolutely awful. Awful. So AEW has some good stuff. They did great with Miro today. Miro beat the shit out of Chuck Taylor. Pinned him in 4 minutes, maybe even less. Did you notice how they changed the stipulation? We all were baffled yet last week. Young boy? Did anyone out there Google what young boy is? I mean, that's almost as bad as when we said that maybe Matt Riddle could, with all the bros, hey, let's have bro nuts. And I'm waiting for him to say, hey, maybe we should just get DDP and we'll be the Bang Bros. Bang! Oh, man. Young boy. I don't care if that's slang for servant or butler. I don't care if that's a nickname for the coolest, youngest boy. I don't care if it's an inspirational movie about some young boy who had some terminal illness and beat it. I don't care what it's about. In the age of social media and trolling and everything Google, somebody actually in creative said, yeah, let him be his young boy. I think of young boy, I don't want to say his name, but I think of a former wrestling guy who used to go to Japan simply because he can have relations, well, to see wrestling as well, but he can have some fun with some people a little bit younger than Americans because it was legal over there. Won't say who the person is. Doesn't wrestle anymore, I don't believe. But I think of young boy. I think of some heinous shit that you hear online once in a while. They changed it today to servant. I don't fucking understand how that gets on TV last week. I could picture somebody joking around in the back and then oh yeah, let's go with it. Especially that AEW is supposed to be the millennial promotion. I mean, they especially should know that. I get it. Reviews, you are 1,000% right. Young boy is used in Japan to describe rookie wrestlers. The problem is, we ain't in Japan. The problem is, very, 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 very little people follow Japanese wrestling. A little bit of New Japan, but we're in fucking the United States of America. I understand AEW is watched worldwide, but you don't use a term that 99% of your viewers have no fucking idea. And why would it be a reference of Japan? Is Miro Japanese? Is Chuck Taylor from the Asian Pacific? I mean, I could understand if Xia Li and Boa, Boa beat the shit out of somebody in the ring today. I'll make you my young boy. I see promise. You, my young boy. Okay, I can see that. Miro and Chuck Taylor, I don't see it. I said young boys, as in Japan. See, now we're getting all those other corny jokes. But you see my point? And listen, if that wasn't a bad term, then why did they change it to servants? Why did they change it to servant? I don't know who the fuck passed that last week. I don't care. I'm glad they changed it. What other things? NXT tonight. Let's talk about the brackets before I give you results. Let's see. We've gone an hour. I think we had some nice convo for the first hour. The last 30 minutes, we'll break down some of the matches a little bit further. But first, because we did not know tonight originally who MSK was. Obviously, we found out it's the former Rascalz from Impact Wrestling. But this is what the brackets are for the Dusty Rhodes Classic on the men's side. You have on the left, Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. They did take on Breezango tonight and defeat Breezango. I don't think there was any surprise there. I mean, obviously, WWE, you know, even when Breezango won the tag belts, you kind of felt like, okay, you know, we're not putting anything behind Breezango. And that sucks, but, you know, it is what it is. Tony Nese and Daivari just feels like a makeshift team. Tony Nese, the way they've used him on TV for the last year, I mean, who the fuck is really going to buy into that now? You know, you got to come up with some insane skits to make us believe into that. You have Adonis and Troy. You know, they could be a promising team, and I'll tell you the truth, I think they should advance. I think they would get a nice rub going up against Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Then you got Kushida and Leon Ruff, which, you know, it's a makeshift team as well, but I don't have any problem with that team. But they are taking on Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory. That match is going to be next week. And, you know, it almost feels like both of these teams will probably get eliminated because it seems like NXT, they're leaning towards having Kushida feud with Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship. Garth is saying, do I know a lot of American people, adults, are watching a Neem series? It's a pretty big deal if I think about it. I understand that. But if you're still bringing up the young boy stuff, majority of wrestling fans out there, AEW fans, when they think of young boy, they think of accusations against certain wrestlers. They think of, you know, inappropriate stuff. When we play word association, you say to me brick, I say red. You say sandwich, I say ham and cheese. You say Kevin, and I say cross. Tricked you all there. But no, when you say young boy, I can't mention this wrestler. I really hurt his feelings. I don't think he wrestles anymore, but, you know, I don't want to cause any controversy. The term young boy is not a very good term. So, anyway, you have Everrise. I know you can't see me right now, but you can't see me. I cannot get into Everrise. I'm telling you, Matt Martell looks like the stunt double for Scotty Anton. You know, if Scotty Anton was ever in a movie, seriously, if Scotty Anton was ever in a movie and they needed a stunt double to like fall off a cliff or something, even though Matt Martell is more this way, he looks like if Scotty Anton fucked one of the Young Bucks, I think you get Matt Martell. I just can't get into Everrise. I cannot get into Everrise. Shout out to Papo Jr. What's going on? What's going on, my friend? I think Papo Jr. is a little bit newer to the shows, but big supporter. I think we could call him friend now. He is part of the Donzilla Army, but tuning in from the Bronx right now. Much love, my friend. And, you know, stay safe. Stay safe, man. I know it's still pretty rough here in this neck of the woods, but I hear, for anybody who lives in New York, I hear there's going to be some announcements about restaurants and opening up the vaccines to even more classifications within the next week or two. 2 weeks from now is going to be a lot different in the way it appears in New York, I'm telling you. So I still say the word anime. I don't watch that stuff. I don't follow it. And I know I could just go on YouTube and type in the phrase, how do you say A-N-I-M-E? And then you'll get a computer say, anime. I do that all the time. I say a lot of words wrong. And I could fix it, but I just say them like I always say them. So, but Everrise, man, I want to like them. I never in a million... By the way, what the fuck is going on with Cameron Grimes all of a sudden? I mean, is this the rotation? Like, I understand Ember Moon was healing her wounds a little bit. Now she's ready to go back, and she's going to be teaming up with Shotzi in the Dusty tournament. But I never in a million years ever thought that I would say, gee, I kind of miss Cameron Grimes on my TV. I tell you the truth. Bring fucking Cameron Grimes to the main roster. Let him be annoying. Let him be like the very hairy version of like Miz and Morrison or something. You know? Maybe bring Cameron Grimes to the main roster. And I'm not joking when I say that, but Everrise, I don't know. I mean, is anybody out there, can you put your finger on it as far as what's wrong with them? I don't know. Is it just that we got that, you know, they look like a low-budget version of the Young Bucks, even though they're nothing like the Young Bucks, but it kind of feels that way? I don't know. There's something about them. Out of everybody on the NXT roster right now, if you said to me you can eliminate 2 people from your TV, you know, it's almost like the DVR that you can hit a button and skip over the commercials. There could be a custom setting, like you hit the button and it skips over Everrise matches. Like if I could program on my remote, I would choose them. I don't want to see them fired, but seriously, there's nothing about Everrise that I like. Nothing. Zero. Grizzled young veterans, it feels like they're in quicksand or they're in mud because they should have been a hell of a lot further by now, and something is just holding them back. I don't know what it is. MSK, we've already sung the praise about. Fucking awesome today. They beat Isaiah Swerve Scott and Jake Atlas. We'll get into that in a couple of moments. Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, they've done next to nothing with. I like Austin Gray and Kurt Stallion. Something tells me you're going to see them advance. Imperium and the Lucha House Party. We brought it up last week. We have no problem with the Lucha House Party staying in NXT. Keep them in NXT. You know, I just feel that they're here just for the NXT tournament, and then they'll ultimately go back to the main roster. But Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, go do some YouTube searches and see what those guys did before they went to WWE. They can do so much more, and obviously they've been domesticated so they can last in WWE more. They have longer shelf life, but those guys in NXT, okay, I could go with that. Legado del Fantasma, it feels like they are also stuck in mud. And the Bollywood boys, like WWE just announced that superstar spectacle or whatever it is in Saudi Arabia. We'll talk about that on Friday. But it almost feels like the Bollywood boys are in this tournament simply because of that. And it would not surprise me if the Bollywood boys advance. But so that's the brackets. Not bad. Much better than I felt last week. But I really think India. Did I say Saudi Arabia? India. Force Abbott. I mean, I'm going to talk about that on Friday because I tell you, it'd be nice to see Jinder. I know it's going to sound sacrilegious. It's going to be nice to see Jinder Mahal back. I don't mind seeing some of the people. I don't know why people got so triggered about Tiger Ali Singh the other day. Did you see all of that? I mean, people like desperate to talk about anything. I mean, seriously, Tiger, there's nothing, he's not a threat for like any shows. Like it's not, why did people make a big deal about that the other day? So we'll talk about that Friday. But that is the tag team bracket. Next week, we will learn the full bracket for the women's side. And I'm telling you, I think the women's tag team classic is going to blow away the men's side. So now, one last thing before we go further. AEW announced that they are having their year-end awards, the Dynamite Awards. It is going to stream January 27th, and it says TNT on there, but I don't believe it's going to be on TNT. I think it's going to be streaming on Bleacher Report. But they're doing a year-end awards, and I'm going to read you the brackets. I'm going to read you the categories and the nominees now. Now, we don't have to do predictions this week. Maybe we'll do them next week because it is still 2 weeks away. But I want to give you the categories and the nominees now so you could think about it a little bit. And then next week, we'll spend about 10, 15 minutes and I will get into the categories next week again. And everybody who tunes in live, you could vote in the chat room. And what I will do is I will, look at what majority for each category, and I will say it during the show. This way, everybody on the replay, whether it's audio only or video, they'll get an idea as far as what our audience is leaning towards as far as some of these choices. And I'm sure I'll comment about your picks as well. But best moment on the mic, your choices are MJF's "We Deserve Better" speech, which is funny because I still got this. Let me see if I could grab it without breaking things or dropping things. Yeah, I was one of the suckers that bought this. Yeah. I was one of the... I'm not going to use that as a synopsis pick, by the way, but yeah, I was one of the ones. We definitely did deserve better. Oh, by the way, Ben Salmon, if you're watching this, and for everyone else out there that knows about the new show that I'm working on that I got to make sure clears YouTube, I bought it. People that don't know what we're working on, there's a guy on YouTube, I don't remember his name, maybe somebody remembers his name, but what he does is, here's the difference. He buys on eBay VHS tapes, VCR tapes with no labels on them that have pre-recorded stuff on there. And then he plays it online and shows everyone commercials, stuff from the 90s or whatever. Yours truly has probably 300 or 400 VCR, VHS tapes that I recorded myself going back to the late 70s. Back in the 70s, I would record cartoons. I'd record wrestling. In the 80s, the 90s, late at night infomercials. Now obviously I will review the tapes before I do it live, just to make sure that maybe any late night, what was that late night thing that they used to have, nightcap or whatever, so we don't accidentally show any adult videos. I don't think there's any XXX home movies of yours truly, but yeah, this is what'll allow me to bring it online. So I did get it, and I'm going to start working on that. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, man. It's going to be awesome. So anyway, best moment on a mic, MJF's "We Deserve Better" speech, Cody Rhodes accepting the dog collar challenge, that match, Jon Moxley accepting his Inner Circle invitation, Brandy Rhodes confronting Jade Cargill, and Orange Cassidy debating Chris Jericho. I'll be honest with you, my immediate reaction to that is I somehow think that AEW had much better promos in 2020. Either this is designed for MJF to win, or this is awful. Sorry, my immediate reaction. I didn't look at these categories beforehand. To me, that's awful. But I'll think about it for a week, and I will tell you next week my choices. Biggest surprise, Matt Hardy's debut, Jake Roberts confronting Cody Rhodes, Brody Lee arrives as the Exalted One, Sting's AEW debut, or Miro revealed as Kip Sabian's best man. Breakout star in the male category, your choices are Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, and John Silver. On the female side, you have Hikaru Shida, Anna Jay, Ty Conti, Big Swole, and Penelope Ford. No disrespect to the women's division. That list, if you take away Hikaru Shida, you have Anna Jay, Ty Conti, Big Swole, and Penelope Ford. They have not done enough yet, in my opinion. But you look at the NXT women's division, even you look at one bracket match next week, Casey Catanzaro, and I don't remember who else, I'll look at my notes later, versus Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. Put those, even just put Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. Now, obviously, they're not breakout stars. Mercedes Martinez is almost a legend at this point, but you see the difference. You see the difference. Immediately, you see the difference. Biggest beatdown. The Inner Circle jumping Orange Cassidy, Dark Order attacking the Nightmare Family, Nyla Rose putting Rio and Shida through tables, Brian Cage sneak attacks Jon Moxley, and the Nightmare Family and the Inner Circle Brawl. I just realized it. Best Friends is not on that list. This almost feels like Who Dat was in charge of that category. Nothing against the Nightmare Family. How the fuck does the Nightmare Family get 2 nominees and the biggest beatdown, and you have nothing for Santana Ortiz versus I don't know, man. The more I'm looking at this is awful. This is fucking awful. The High Flyer Award, Ray Phoenix, Mark Quinn, Nick Jackson, or Pac. We didn't wrestle for like 9 months. But hardest moment to clean up after. Orange Cassidy dropping orange juice on the Inner Circle, the parking lot brawl, the bunkhouse match, or Big Swall dumping garbage on Britt Baker. Biggest what the fuck moment. Cody Rhodes' steel cage moonsault, Sammy Guevara hit by a golf cart, Kenny Omega winning the AEW championship and walking out in AEW. Did he really? Okay. Bloody Dr. Britt Baker in a match against Hikaru Shida, the Young Bucks' frog splash off the stadium railing, or AEW announcing this year-end awards. No, I added that last one. That is the biggest what the fuck moment. What the fuck is this? The LOL award. Gets worse. Jericho and MJF's Ledina Debonair. Well, that I liked. Britt Baker waxes Tony Schiavone. The Young Bucks kick MJF in a pool. And the Inner Circle's Vegas trip. Best Twitter follow. MJF, Orange Cassidy, Britt Baker, Nyla Rose. And the Bleacher Report pay-per-view moment of the year. Stadium Stampede, Moxley winning the AEW title, Shida winning the Women's Championship, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page over the Young Bucks, Darby Allin winning the TNT title, or the Young Bucks winning the... This is... oh my God. I honestly did not look at this before we went live. That is horrendous. Where is the fucking wrestler of the year? Where is match of the... What is this? I mean, is this Bleacher Report's idea? Is this the mentality they have? That they have to have good shit like this? AEW, man, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Seriously. I mean, somebody's getting way too relaxed over in AEW, in my opinion. Oh, that's not even entertaining, that stuff. Anyway, what do you want me to quickly go over first? You want me to go over AEW or NXT? So, majority rules. And just a reminder, everyone, once again, Thursday night, I will be here live, 10:05 p.m. Eastern for, Q&A, Ask Me Anything live chat, just basically, regular casual convo. Nothing planned, nothing organized. Friday will be the Don Tony show. I might do something over the weekend, working on something. Also, I think we're going to launch the memberships. Don't worry about that. I don't want anybody to think there's like any big money grab. It's not like that. It's just, like emojis and shit. We're going to do that. Sorry. All right. I'm looking at the list. All right. We got, it's about even right now, AEW and NXT. Go over how to pronounce Big Swall. Swall. I like saying swall, swall. Almost like swallow. A big swallow. I'll take a big swallow right now. Come on, let's see a couple of more votes. Come on, AEW or NXT, a couple of more votes while I take this big swallow. No, Ben, I know. Ben's like, you already talked about most of the shows. I know. We just want to get into the match results quickly. All right, so let's do the AEW first. Let's do AEW first. I just want to fill in the blanks, so at least everybody knows what transpired. We don't have to talk about every little fart. It's up to you to watch some of the matches that we talk about, if you want to see them. Pac versus Eddie Kingston opened the show. Absolutely enjoyed it. I loved that they didn't force extra time. They didn't make it end too quick. The flow in the match was very good. Look, I have sung the praise for Eddie Kingston for 15 plus years. I'm spoiled to have seen so much of his career. I didn't want to be disrespectful last week when we were talking about that Sports Illustrated top 10 and they had Eddie Kingston on that list. I freaking love Eddie Kingston. But when you look at top 10 wrestlers of the world in 2020, you know, like I said, that was a devious list. And yes, I know we shouldn't pay attention to those lists, but a lot of people do. Millions of people do. And they deliberately left Asuka off that list so Sasha Banks, her name, would stand out even more. But how you rank Eddie Kingston above Asuka in 2020, need I say more? Eddie Kingston is excellent. Not on the level of Terry Funk, who's dad, but I'm telling you, you know what? He kind of reminds me of Homicide. And they have similar backgrounds in a lot of ways. And Homicide is so beloved in this era. Homicide's beloved across the globe. Before Homicide retires, I want to see him have a match on AEW. They were doing all these open challenges, and it was so much fun. You know, bring in someone for 1 week or 2 weeks. Throw a fucking name out there that we haven't seen. Give him a little bit of a payday. My God, bring back fucking Eric Redbeard for a match or two. You know? I don't know. But Eddie Kingston, I got to think about that. Who he reminds me of maybe like 10 years ago. But he had a great match tonight with Pac. I mean, Pac ended up getting the win, hit the Black Arrow on Eddie Kingston. After the match was over, Pac locked the brutalizer on Eddie Kingston. Butcher and Blade tried to interfere. Lance Archer music hits. It's almost like arrive, you know, beat up, leave. It's all, he just shows up, cleans house, and then leaves. And, you know, Lance Archer and Pac having a little bit of words with each other. That might be a match coming up in the near future. But I like the opening. Right now, absolutely love the opening for AEW. Then we have Miro beat Chuck Taylor in about 4 minutes, like we said before. Total domination. Kip Sabian got the upper hand on Orange Cassidy as well. It was funny because they brought like a picture of Chuck Taylor, like a cardboard cutout from the waist up, and they had pasties over his nipples, which was pretty funny. But Miro dominated. You know, Miro should dominate like this. But all of that heat between Best Friends and Miro and Sabian, everything that's transpired for months and months and months, to have him lose in 4 minutes is just goofy. So now he is Miro's servant, Butler, for 30 days. So, after that match, we have a backstage segment, Matt Hardy and Private Party, not on the same page. You could see this transformation of Matt Hardy over the last month. You know, he basically is taking control, almost being like their agent, but Private Party's a little pissed off that Matt Hardy's taking too much money, and they're calling him greedy, and Matt Hardy tells him, shut up and just listen to me. So you could see a little bit of the, you know, change in direction. And ultimately, Matt Hardy, we said it before, Matt Hardy will, once Private Party's ready, Private Party will break away from Matt Hardy, spread their wings, and they'll be off and running. They're already off and running. So, Inner Circle's New Year's resolutions, just to summarize it, championship titles. They're arguing who's going to be the tag team. Guevara calls Chris Jericho a tag team slut because Jericho teams with this person and this person and this person. It ends up that Jericho is going to team with MJF. Santana and Ortiz are going to team up, obviously. Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara are going to team up. And we get a match next week against all six of them will be facing each other. You know, it feels very, very lazy. Lazy writing. And you know what? After they agreed to have that match, they all posed in the middle of the ring, everybody giving their middle fingers like they've done before. And like again, it just feels lazy. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way as well. I want to see what that quarter-hour rating looks like. See if that trend continues. You know, when you have 1 or 2 weeks of substantial decline instead of substantial increase, all right, you know, every storyline, every promotion hits bumps in the road. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is going to knock it out of the park every time. But when you see 1, 2, 2.5 months consistency of decline, certain people, certain characters, teams, that's something to be concerned about. And you don't say, well, but no, the 18 to 34 didn't tune away. You know, me, like I said, I look at my demos when I do these shows because I want to see what audiences are really enjoying the shows. I look at it by episodes. I'm seeing an interesting trend of Mondays compared to Thursday and Friday. Last Thursday was just interesting. I'll share it tomorrow. I don't have the stats in front of me. But the point is, at the end of the day, I want as many eyes and ears on what I do, period. If I get 150,000 downloads this week, I don't care if they're all 75 years old. Speak up. I don't care if they're all teenagers. I don't care. As many people as possible. Because you have diehard people, they're the ones that are going to put money in your product. Doesn't matter at the end of the day if they're 18. Maybe for advertisers, yeah. But if I have 50-year-olds that are just totally dedicated to my product, that 50-year-old probably has more money than a 20-year-old. And that 50-year-old probably has his different spending habits than a 25-year-old. Hey, let's all go out drinking and 25 years old. No, I got to buy the Dark Order shirt. No, I got to buy this first. No, I don't base it on that. Sorry. Do we ever see demos broken down for merchandise sales? Do you ever see that? I'm sure somebody in the 18 to 25, 25 to 34, 35 to 55, 55 to say, I don't think they're going to buy toddler size clothes unless it's for a relative. They're not wearing it themselves. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers defeat Brian Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, and Danny Limelight. Match went longer than I guess we expected, but it was to showcase Good Brothers, the unity with Kenny Omega. Interesting that the Young Bucks, when Callis trolled them, interesting how the Young Bucks didn't immediately come out. Little things like that I noticed. I don't know if you all noticed that, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. Very, very Bush League to not have, Danny Limelight. Look him up. I actually talked about him a couple of weeks ago. He's actually pretty talented, man. He really is. No joke. Happy birthday, Darren, by the way. Happy birthday, Darren. So, look, it was a showcase match. After the match is over, Moxley's music hit. We had a clusterfuck. And here is where I'm expecting, you know, Rich Swann. I'm expecting the Motor City Machine Guns. And we get the Lucha fucking Brothers. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Lucha Bros. I love the match with Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega last week. But it just felt so... just wrong place, wrong time. You have Impact's pay-per-view coming up this weekend. Impact should have hit the ring, not the fucking Lucha Bros. Just this deal that Impact and AEW did, very, very shoddy. I think we could all agree on that. It could have been a lot better. And the funny thing is, one appearance by Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns tonight would have changed just the overall perspective, the view of going into that pay-per-view. It just feels like Impact either just doesn't give a shit, or AEW doesn't give a shit, or these wrestlers refused to show up in Florida and work the night. It's just, there's no explanation for it. There's no explanation for it. That waiting room segment with Britt Baker, that horrible, god-awful shit. Basically, it looks like it's in a waiting room of a dentist office. That's why it's called the waiting room. They introduce Cody. They have sparklers in their hands. And I don't know if they tried to throw him in like a bucket of water and maybe it just fell. I don't know what. But like something with off camera, it was horrendous. The acting is bad. I know it's deliberately bad. But you see, if I suck at acting, I will deliberately be bad to try to cover up that I am bad. I mean, she cuts some decent promos here and there. She's not bad in the ring. She's got plenty of time to improve even more. But these talking segments, just because you have one awesome moment on a cruise ship, AEW, I'm totally baffled by this. This segment was awful. You have Red Velvet. Well, the surprise was Jade Cargill showed up to confront Cody. And once Brandy is able to, because she's pregnant, Jade wants a piece of that ass. Red Velvet shows up. All the women show up. There's pull-aparts. There's brawls. There's this or that. If somebody tuned in the middle of it, they probably thought that Brandy was brawling with Jade Cargill. But, I don't know. It felt flat, really bad. Another match that it was okay, but it's still hard for me to believe that the greatest tag team of 2020, FTR, cannot just wipe the floor with Marco Stunt. I understand it's inspirational. From what I know from people, he's a really cool guy outside. A lot of people like him, but still, it's just too much of a hard sell for me. Jungle Boy, that guy should be the breakout star of 2021. Personally, should have been the breakout star on that list for 2020. I don't have the list in front of me, so maybe he was. I'm drawing a blank right now. But that guy, I think, had a pretty decent 2020. And that guy needs to break out. If people feel that Orange Cassidy broke out last year, Jungle Boy's got to have it this year. So it was okay. Whose dad disagrees with me? That's cool. That's why we're all family here. I want people to disagree, but don't disagree just to disagree. If you feel otherwise, but look, give AEW credit in one sense. They have cut down the use of Marco Stunt on Dynamite, which was the right way to go. The match was fine today. They worked well. FTR in the end gets the win. They hit the big rig on Marco Stunt, which was the right way to go. I don't think Jungle Boy loses any momentum with this loss, but FTR, ever since they lost the tag titles, I mean, it just feels like they're stuck in the mud. So now we get some matches announced for next week. Matt Sydal and Top Flight versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. Santana and Ortiz versus Sammy Hager and Jericho and MJF. You have Brody -1, Brody Lee's son, his birthday celebration match, which is Hangman Page and the Dark Order of Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Colt Cabana, along with Hangman Page, taking on Serpentico, Luther, and TH2. Miro, they're going to do a segment with him. Chuck Taylor is his butler. Nyla Rose versus Layla Hirsch. Jon Moxley will be in action next week as well. Serena Deeb defeats Ty Conti today to retain the NWA Women's Championship. Decent match, but it just feels like that NWA title, it doesn't feel like any momentum going on whatsoever. It's at the point now that you say to yourself, why is the NWA Women's Championship being defended on this show at all? You know, early on it was interesting. Thunder Rosa with the title, Sheeta with her title, trying to see who's superior. But now, none against Serena Deeb. I'm a big fan of Serena Deeb. But you're at the point now where you're saying to yourself, why is this belt being defended on this show? And look at Sheeta. She had the match with Abaddon. Take away the match with Abaddon last week. How much has Sheeta done in the last 6 weeks? Just pointing it out. Main event, not bad, but the ending was horrendous. Brian Cage tossing Darby Allin around like a salad. Darby Allin, big size difference. Now they keep bringing it up, well, Darby Allin's been bullied all his life and this and that. And I'm sorry, man. I understand what they're trying to do with the character, and Darby Allin is uber talented. But it's a hard sell sometimes to try to get sympathy on someone who you claim is bullied when they're doing some of the dopiest shit that you see in these skits. If you wanted to, well, he's been bullied all his life, so he's a troubled person. Well, not for nothing. If Sting is going to be his mentor, when they showed Darby Allin over the weekend with a flamethrower, you all saw that. You know what? When Darby Allin fucking tried to light that flamethrower, Sting should have showed up with his plastic fucking bat and just hit him in the hands. Boom! Ow! What's that for? Straighten yourself out. Knock this shit out. I mean, role model, coach, life coach, this and that. I don't know. I mean, then again, you know what? Maybe the next time Darby Allin jumps off a bridge, maybe Sting could say, no, this is how you do it. And maybe Sting could put that clip on the bridge and then jump off like he did in WCW and then go down on the thing with the full overcoat and all that shit, the leather coat. And maybe Sting could do it too. The storyline is so half-assed. And the ending was pathetic. Pathetic. You have Team Taz out there. Ricky Stark's out there. Goes dark. Sting comes out. All the fake snow floating around. And Sting hits him with the plastic bat. Ricky Stark selling it like he got shot in the stomach. And then Brian Cage, I freaking love that guy's work. And tonight was a perfect example. I wanted to like this match a lot. But you have Sting just standing on the rampway and Brian Cage looking at him like, looking at Ricky Starks, like I said earlier. Oh. Standing on the middle rope. Oh. And then Darby Allin. And it took so long. It's different. You remember when Kurt Angle or Shelton Benjamin and others somebody would be sitting on the rope and they would jump on the rope in 2 seconds and then just suplex. You'd be like, holy shit. You just see them it's like, okay, lift your leg over here. No, lift your leg over here. All right, I only weigh 110 wet, so you have to push yourself off. Okay, now pick yourself up and let's fall backwards. And while this is happening, Brian Cage is looking at Ricky Starks and Sting. Oh. And he gets fucking pinned. And they go off the air with that stuff. I'm telling you, man, AEW better be fucking careful. Because a lot of these people online, we have best intent. This is the difference. People do that shit on social media to get likes. Oh, funny guy. Hey, you're funny. No, we want the stuff to be better. They better be careful, man. They better be careful. So, now we go to NXT. NXT, I'm going to be totally honest with all of you out there, and it looks like we're going to go about 15 minutes over. It's okay. It'll still be under 2 hours. So, and I'm pulling up my NXT notes. I will tell you, I liked NXT more tonight than I liked AEW. AEW had some moments I enjoyed. But I liked NXT that much more. NXT, sometimes a little too organized, and they do have some matches that just feel like absolute filler. But Shotzi Blackheart and Candice LeRae opening up tonight. Indy Hartwell and Candice's corner. I loved it because, number one, Candice LeRae is healed. Remember, we thought she broke her arm at War Games, so she was able to wrestle tonight. Now, obviously with the push of The Way, I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams thought that Shotzi was winning tonight, or Dexter Lumis, unfortunately. But, basically this match went about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. Decent match, but in the end, you have Shotzi Blackheart being distracted by Indy Hartwell at ringside. And then you had Candice LeRae hit the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And Candice LeRae gets the win. And, it was what it was. I'm very happy to see Candice LeRae back. I'm enjoying this Way storyline. I'm telling you, even though we didn't want to see it happen, when Gargano got dropped on his head, who did he fight again? Oh, that wrestler that's out with that horrible injury. Oh, my God. It's late. I'm brain fart right now. Someone bail me out of this. Who did Gargano fight? Oh, remember Pat McAfee paid him off. He was going to take out the Undisputed Era, and then he blew out his leg. Oh, God. Ridge Holland, thank you, Austin Nance. Man, I hope that guy's recovering. I got to try to get an update. In fact, there's a few people that I talk to that are involved in NXT. I'm going to ask around for an update on Ridge Holland. I mean, I don't ever contact people for scoops. I've never done that in 25 years. But there's something I really want to know. I could ask around. So I want to get an update on Ridge Holland because that guy has something. I wouldn't say it's on the level of Goldberg, 1998, or 7, when they first were interested in bringing him to WCW. But there's something there. There is something there. Yeah, no, I think it's longer than that, Chris. I heard year. And I don't even know if he'll ever be the same. That's how bad the injury was. But I'll ask around. But nice to see Candice LeRae back in the ring. And ever since that match with Gargano and Ridge Holland, something changed about my view of Gargano. And I think Gargano has definitely increased his value in the last 4 months. A lot more people are into Gargano now than they did before. I remember before, when Gargano lost and LeRae lost on one of those events, everybody's like, what do you do with them now? Look what they've done with them. So, Finn Balor hits the ring, cuts a promo. We're all thinking Karrion Kross is his next opponent, but I was pleasantly surprised because I brought this up about 6 weeks ago. I want to see Pete Dunne and Finn Balor go at it a little bit. We got a little teaser of that tonight. Finn Balor's promo was interrupted by Pete Dunne. He comes out with the NXT Tag Champs. Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, Pete Dunne. They start brawling with Finn Balor. And lo and behold, the Undisputed Era shows up and makes the save. So many of you, along with me, said last week, we'd love to see Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor as a tag team. And some of you even said maybe add another member to the Undisputed Era, which I personally don't agree with. Undisputed Era is going to be looked back as legendary, and you want to leave the same 4 guys. I don't think you want to add a 5th guy unless somebody is permanently booted and they're going to go on a different level in a totally different direction. But because Bobby Fish, I don't know if he's ready to return to the ring. I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle O'Reilly because they also, towards the end of the night, they furthered the storyline with his mouth and had Pete Dunne, Lorcan and Burch, basically put him out. I mean, at the very end of the night, Finn Balor's holding his arm. Kyle O'Reilly is holding his mouth. Oh, you know what? Oh, no, I don't have it queued up. Something about Kyle O'Reilly. Some people know why, but I don't have it queued up right now. But, I don't know what combination we're getting over here. But are we going to get Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor? I don't, teaming up. I just don't see it. And if Kyle O'Reilly is going to be out for a little bit, and Bobby Fish, I don't know if he's ready to return. You have Roderick Strong and Adam Cole in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So I don't know where this leads as far as Lorcan and Burch. I don't know. But right now, we might get something with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor. Johnny Gargano, who was fighting Dexter Lumis tonight, they did a backstage skit where Austin Theory gives Gargano some of Dexter Lumis's artwork. He ends up tossing it later on. I hope Dexter Lumis puts some of his artwork up. I want one. I want one for the back. I want one for my own collection, and maybe we'll give one away as well. So I have yet to find out if they're doing a theme for New Year's Evil, like the autograph thing I got for the last event. What was the last event with Shotzi Blackheart? War Games. So we'll see. But Grizzled Young Veterans beating Everrise. I just could not get into this match at all. And I don't think fans out there were really... I'm telling you, this will probably be the lowest quarter rating of the night, unfortunately. Awesome vignette with Raquel Gonzalez. She is now focused on Io Shirai. I still think we may get 2, 3, 4 people going up against Io Shirai. We may see like a 3-way, a 4-way, maybe even a 5-way, because there's a few names being thrown around besides Raquel Gonzalez. But I absolutely love it. Raquel Gonzalez, so many of you have sung the praise for her for the last 6 months. It's fun to see someone develop right before our eyes and really put in the effort and the work. You could see when work pays off, so Johnny Gargano beats Dexter Lumis. A lot of distraction by Austin Theory. Dexter Lumis still remains as my favorite NXT star, previously Keith Lee. But, man, I don't know if anybody else feels like they could treat Dexter Lumis a whole lot better. It's almost like they're treating him like, I don't want to say like an Undertaker character, because even though, if you know, over the last 6 months, I said a lot of his work feels like a little bit Undertaker-esque, the way his mannerisms, he moves. But Dexter Lumis is like an enigma. He doesn't speak and this and that, but it's not like it's a whacked out character. I mean, it just feels like there's little momentum with Dexter Lumis. I mean, he lost today, and it doesn't feel like he's losing any momentum, and he's got a big following. I mean, he is a fan favorite, even though he doesn't act like one. But he loses, and after he loses, he tries to choke out Austin Theory. And the first part of it looked a little goofy because Austin Theory, I think, was overselling it. But then Kushida hits the ring, and he goes at it with Gargano, which looks like will be Gargano's next feud. And next week, we have that tag match I mentioned earlier, Kushida and Leon Ruff versus Gargano and Theory. So we'll see. Yeah, Southern Love, I agree with you. Dexter Lumis, had the same vibe in TNA. But my God, the guy is extremely talented. The guy has an awesome physique. The guy could go. And it just feels like they're more interested in the character and the gimmick than anything else. See, that's something that I feel more and more about the difference between WWE and AEW. And some of this might be common sense, but I pretty much summarized it like this. AEW feels like, even when they talk on social media, AEW feels like regular folk, a lot of people, not everybody, there's obviously some larger-than-life wrestlers there, but it feels like, like wrestlers living lives similar to ours that happen to have wrestling as a career and working on TV, but their struggles, in a lot of ways, we relate to it. You look at Eddie Kingston's character, you hear what Moxley says in his promos, and like a lot of those wrestlers, they battle real-life battles, and they share it with us, and we see it, and sometimes it's incorporated in wrestling, and sometimes it isn't. In WWE, it feels like everybody's living in a bubble. They could try to portray that they live everyday lives like us, but obviously they got blue check marks and they're famous. But it feels like once you enter the WWE doors, you're in an alternate universe. And when they try to portray it every day, there's a few people on social media that do come across like they did before, but it feels like a lot of people living in a bubble. So, all right, Benjamin says, you can buy art prints of NXT in your house and New Year's Evil by Dexter Lumis. As soon as I'm done with the show, which will be within 10 minutes, I am going to go check that out. And I will give everybody an update tomorrow. Do you have any idea of prices? Hopefully, they're not trying to, take too much. I think $50 for a print is very reasonable. I mean, if it's $100, they better fucking be, But I want to pay Dexter Lumis to do a caricature of me or one of Mish and I. Seriously, I know he can't do cameo, but why can't he do like Drorio? Why can't we pay Dexter Lumis to just draw a little bit of artwork, on demand? I'd slap him a couple of $100 to do an art print of myself and Mish. Oh, man, I would definitely pay for that. Seriously. I'd charge it so I could pay it over time. Really? Benjamin says $25 for 18 to 24 prints. They're probably unsigned, though, because there ain't no way Dexter Lumis is the $25. I'm going to look into it. I wonder if there's any way you could get them signed. I got to see. But I tell you, 18 to 20, that's not bad. $25, that's not bad at all. So, big shout out to Alexis Rodriguez. Today makes 1 month that he subscribed to the channel, loves the shows. Lots of blessings to me and my family. Same to you, my friend. And thank you. I have the COVID shot next Tuesday, the vaccine. And I'll tell you, I know I hide it. But I get my moments when I'm very depressed. Not on the level of what you see online with some of our friends and some of the battles that they're dealing with. I mean, it's really hard. I have been lucky and been able to keep myself busy. Work here, which I consider fun, even though it's work, but there's been times where it's really, really tough, man. And I tell you, I don't say this to blow smoke, but your support that you give all of us here, that's humbling. I mean, that's awesome. It gives me, look, I already set up the shows for today, tomorrow, and Friday. And I didn't do that because I was bored. I did it because I'm so looking forward to doing these shows with you, especially tomorrow. I mean, last week was just incredible how that went. So tomorrow is going to be, I think, just as fun. But thank you for the kind words, Alexis. I really do appreciate that. That's awesome. And happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Seriously. Awesome. So I'm going to pick up a couple of those prints. We'll put something in the back. I just, they got to be colorful, because if it's just outline drawings, I put it in the back. By the way, do we leave the shit up there or do we take it out of there? Somebody sent it to me as a gift, that poop pillow back there. I don't know. Should we keep them? I just had like an empty space. So somebody gave me a poop pillow. So I don't know. I don't know if we should keep them. It represents AEW. Look, it could represent whatever you want it to be. It could look like me taking a poop, or I could be poop. Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher have a sit down. They're having the Fight Pit match next week. I want to see those two guys team. And as I said earlier, finally, after all of these weeks, Timothy Thatcher tells Ciampa, I believe in the things you believe in. We're very similar. Why did it take 4 weeks, 5 weeks for them to do that? Better late than never. But there's going to be a mutual respect coming out of this. I want to see those two guys team. Interesting that 2021, right off the bat, feels like tag team wrestling is going to be the big focal point in many ways in 2021. Count how many tag team matches you have seen on pro wrestling TV since January 1. I would say more than half the matches are tag team matches. I mean, an awful lot of tag team matches. So I'm looking forward to that Fight Pit match next week. Next week, we're also going to get the Lucha House Party versus Imperium, Kushida and Leon Ruff versus Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. We may see Bronson Reed versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. The reason why I say that is MSK, which were the Rascalz in Impact Wrestling, they defeated Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott in the first round of the Dusty Classic. They hit all their moves. And I loved how social media was loving it. Freaking love it. The big question now everybody wants to know is, what does MSK mean? I honestly don't know. I don't think it's been revealed online. I will try to get that answer, but we probably won't get that answer until they do an interview segment and they'll explain it in their own words. Maybe there'll be exclusive footage later tonight, behind the scenes in NXT, where one of the commentators catches up, the interviewers catches up with MSK. What does MSK mean? And, I don't think they're going to call it the marijuana smoking crew, even though that's not bad. Somebody saying MSK is a type of condom. I'm sure that there's initials for almost everything nowadays, but they kicked ass and they advance in the tournament. I love it. I love it. There were points where Scott and Atlas were getting the upper hand. I'm like, WWE's not going to give them a win right from the get-go. Yeah, they pushed them and they won. And that's my highlight of the night. Both shows combined. That's my highlight of the night. So now we get the main event, which was Breezango versus Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. I feel bad because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Breezango, and WWE has really not done all that well with them in NXT. They've main evented a couple of NXT episodes in the last 6 months, and every main event that they've been involved in, even when they lost the tag titles, their ratings have been a disappointment. I think their rating may actually be better tonight because it went up against Darby Allin and Brian Cage. And that match, I really like. Man, it just felt like shades of TNA. It felt like shades of Thunder. I like Sting, and I'm happy he's on TV. And, I have nothing against that. But, man, the way they have ruined Team Taz in the last month, I don't think AEW understands how much they've ruined Team Taz. I mean, tonight, Sting maybe burned 40 calories, which is 40 calories more than the other appearances the last couple of weeks. So Breezango, in the main event, it was fun, but I don't think anybody in their right mind thought Breezango was going to advance, especially when you look at the brackets. I mean, I did have it prepared in case, oh no, that's not the right one, this one. I had it prepared in case Breezango advanced. I'm like, oh shit, because the last thing I wanted to do at 10 o'clock is have to redo the graphic if Breezango advances. See, I made these myself. We didn't know who MSK was at first, so I put the logo on there. I didn't have time to put their faces on it, but I made a Breezango just in case, even though I knew there was no chance of them winning, but we got the clusterfuck finish. Pete Dunne shows up. Lorcan and Burch show up. Finn Balor comes out to make the save. Kyle O'Reilly is out there. He gets attacked. And, they're putting... Look, it's good that Finn Balor is back. And to see him, getting involved with this, it changes the storyline a little bit. There was a vignette tonight of Scarlett Bordeaux and Karrion Kross, which was great. Scarlett had these cards, almost like tarot cards, and at the very end, they show Finn Balor on the screen and Karrion Kross saying TikTok. So they want to keep that seed fresh that Karrion Kross is going for the belt. The problem is, when you see what we got tonight, if Pete Dunne is going to go against Finn Balor, who is Karrion Kross going with? We still don't know if Damian Priest is going to debut on SmackDown. If he does, who is Karrion Kross going to go up against? Are we going to just get squash matches for a week or two? I don't know. But in the end, you had Adam Cole and Roderick Strong advance. And then you had the post-match beatdowns. We go off the air. Lorcan and Birch, I don't know. Kyle O'Reilly, it doesn't make sense for Kyle O'Reilly and Balor to team up while Balor's heavyweight champion. I know people have had multiple titles. You see on the WWE roster, Oscar's a tag champ and a singles champ. But this just feels a little bit different. It feels, okay, where does Pete Dunne fit in this? Where does Lorcan and Birch fit in this? If Kyle O'Reilly is selling the jaw injury, and Roderick Strong is busy with Adam Cole, where does it feels a little bit scattered right now. But one thing for certain, you have MSK now in NXT, and NXT and WWE will take notice of how they were received online tonight. You have Finn Balor back, Karrion Kross back. You have, a lot of big boys fresh and ready to go. And even with Lucha House Party, no reason why WWE can't send another one or two people into NXT. I'm telling you, WWE already announced multiple matches for next week. They are already, the first 2 weeks, promoting their shows 10 times better than they did, for the most part, the last 3 or 4 months of 2020, with the exception of the special event themes. By advertising next week, I got to read the Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm are going to take on Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Women's Tag Team Classic. I mean, Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm already, that's pretty top notch. And you got Ember Moon that's teaming up with Shotzi Blackheart. And I'm assuming Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell are going to team up. We'll have the brackets next week. But when you realize, and Xia Li tonight, my God, I didn't even mention Xia Li because it was so freaking fast. I tell you, what was funny about it? Oh, who was Xia Li's opponent? I wrote it down. Where is it? Shit. Oh, Valentina Feroz. There's something about Xia Li, and it's not just the segments, but it feels like she has toned her body. Everything about her makeup, her outfit, how toned she is, how built, her definition in her arms, the look on her face. I will tell you, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, right now, Xia Li's character, I don't think you could have built it any better than what it is right now. Boa, with the shades on, looks like a very young Bruce Lee. If anybody remembers what was that TV show Bruce Lee was in back in like the 60s? It was a black and white, it was a Green Hornet. He looks like when Bruce Lee was in, I think it was the Green Hornet, I think it was called. Boa looks like a very young Bruce Lee. The character that whoever that woman is, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's anybody with name value that we would like, if they reveal the face, we'd be like, holy shit. I don't think there's anybody out there that it could be. So I don't know if we're ever going to have the reveal. And even if we do, I don't think it's anybody that we're going to identify with as a regular, famous, well-known name. Might be somebody from overseas that we've heard of before. But yeah, a lot of people saying Green Hornet. Kato, that's what it is. Go look at Bruce Lee when he was Kato. With his outfit and his shades, and look at Boa today. Splitting image. I love what they've done with Xia Li's character. She's almost like Goldberg moves now. 2 shots, done. That's all it's needed. That's all it's needed. One kick, one punch, one kick, done. And then she attacked after the match. She did like one knee strike to the head that just looked phenomenal. They've done right. They've done right. Now they have to keep it going in the ring. I'm very happy for Xia Li because when they pulled her from that MMA match, whatever that match was, it felt like, what's her future in WWE? What a difference 6 weeks makes, right? So, yeah, very good. I'm telling you, I actually enjoyed overall. I enjoyed NXT more than AEW tonight. Now, as far as ratings go, boy, this is a hard one because there was no, look, AEW did not feel like New Year's Smash. It just felt like another episode of Dynamite, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But there were a couple of moments on Dynamite today that honestly, if I'm a casual fan, I would have changed the channel. You had some matches in NXT tonight that were a little bit, uneventful, and some names that I just haven't clicked with. I probably would have changed the channel as well. So as far as numbers go, I'm almost tempted to say that NXT wins this week. I think of all the times NXT has won in the ratings, I have predicted their win every time except for one. I don't think NXT will win this week. But I said last week the number would be awfully close, and it was awfully close. I think this week AEW squeaks it out again. You're not going to have Brian Alvarez with another holy shit tweet. I don't see that happening at all. I think NXT, especially how much they plug for next week, I think NXT right now has a chance of beating AEW in the ratings next week. I think the ratings for the foreseeable future are going to be a lot closer than what they were before. I mean, yes, we've had 200,000-300,000 difference in ratings between AEW and NXT. I think right now AEW wins, but less than 100,000 viewers. Maybe like 50 to 60,000 viewers. I don't think it's going to be a huge night in the ratings department, but I will say AEW wins 808, which kind of sounds a little high for me. I'm almost tempted to say 788. I'm going to go 788 for AEW, and NXT, I will say 740. 788 to 740. I think the numbers are going to be closer. We'll see what happens. But with that said, everybody, I am going to jet out of here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as I always ask of you, before you go, if you enjoyed the show, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, hit that like button. That, it's not just a saying, that really does help me with the shows, tells YouTube you recommend the shows, and, giving a thumbs up, commenting, being interactive is the ultimate thank you could give for the shows and the support for myself and for Mish and other people we will have on the shows in the very near future. We're working on some software so we can start taking calls. There's a few people that I've already contacted to do some guest appearances on Thursdays. Really, I'm telling you, especially when we start getting closer to WrestleMania time, this channel is going to blow up, man. I could feel it. It's a good vibe. I love all of you, especially those tuning in live, because I get to see how you're all reacting, and we have some great convo. And once again, I invite you, if you're not doing nothing Thursday night, join me here, 10:05 p.m. I'm going to show up with a cup of coffee probably, and, an open mind. I know it sounds cliche, but nothing is planned. Anything you want to talk about, don't feel embarrassed. Don't feel like nobody in the chat room is going to be like, oh, God, I don't want to talk about that. It could be any topic, any genre, sports, entertainment. Thursday nights is 100. I mean, I try to be interactive on all, but Thursday nights is 100% interactive. I sit here, I have you right in front of me, and whatever the conversations in the chat room go, that's where I go. So I could tell you all, for everybody that tuned in last Thursday, I'm not bullshitting when I say this. Pat yourselves on the back, because I got so much awesome feedback about last Thursday. People said to me, do it again. Do it again. They loved it. And I didn't have anybody complaints about length. I didn't have anybody's complaints. Nobody complained about topics we talked about, even the end, when we got into those bullshit riots at the Capitol, which was disgusting. Anything that is on your mind, we will talk about it tomorrow. So, everyone, I bid you farewell for tonight. Continued Happy New Year. Be safe. Be careful. You know, I know COVID isn't talked about here in the United States as much as it was in the last couple of weeks. But, you know, it's going to be around for a little while longer. But you're going to see some dramatic changes, especially in the United States, as far as accessibility for vaccines. The more people get vaccinated, I'm not saying that everybody should. If you don't believe in that, don't do it. But the more people get vaccinated, the less people will be infected, the quicker things will open up, and the faster we could get back to some normalcy. I will tell you, I said it yesterday on Patreon with Mish, I'll say it again here now. I'm getting vaccinated next Tuesday. 1 month after, I'm getting vaccinated again. I'm getting the Moderna vaccine. I didn't have a choice. They told me, you're getting Moderna. Which means if WWE is having fans at WrestleMania, I am going to be there. I will definitely, and you know me, I don't throw empty promises around just for attention. If WWE has fans in Florida for WrestleMania, and let me make this clear too, even with AEW stuff, I'm not going to Florida to sit in section 800 in the boondocks because they won't let anybody around ringside. If they're going to have fans there and you show proof that you were vaccinated and I could sit in a decent area, you will see me in Florida. I hope you all will be there as well. I'm going to be on the phone with Mish to see if he wants to do it as well. I know a lot of you live in Florida already, and who knows, man, the way things are going, I might stay in Florida up until that Wednesday and hang out for an episode of Dynamite as well. I'm not kidding. I want to go to Florida for 1 week. I've never taken off since the virus began. Yes, I was able to go with my fiance to Connecticut twice, but that was for 3 days, 4 days, and I still had to work during that. I will, even if I have to lie to my customers and say I caught COVID. Yeah, I got vaccinated twice, but somehow I got COVID right now. I can't come in for a week. I'm going to Florida. So I hope to hang out with some of you crazy mofos there. So I know, Darren, vaccine privilege. I get it. But if you're going to be around tomorrow, come by, because I will give you my honest views on that. I truly believe, and I have no problem, that if some venues, some events out there require proof of vaccination, I know lawsuits will happen. I know it sounds like discrimination, and I'm with you. But for me also, it's almost like, you know, when you try to get into a certain club or a certain gym or a certain this or a certain that, you have to meet certain health criteria in order to go. And I understand this is more of a form of entertainment, but, you know, I think that is going to be something in 2021 that a lot of people are not going to like, that you will see place. I already know a restaurant in my neck of the woods, and the only reason why I'm bringing this now is because I see the numbers went up a little bit live, but I'll leave you with this. I know of a restaurant in my neck of the woods, because a couple of customers already told me that once the restaurant is opened up again, they are planning to put up a sign that you have to show proof of a vaccine in order to get reservations. I kid you not. They are not letting anybody in unless they were vaccinated. You're going to see that more and more, and I know it's not fair for those who are not vaccinated, but, I guess maybe that gives a sense of security for everybody that's there, that they don't have to worry about someone. We'll talk about it tomorrow. It's not segregation, Darren. It's not based on any religion or color and this and that. Sometimes, put it this way. If I show up somewhere, a wrestler, how many times in the 90s and the 2000s, so-and-so showed up for WWF and he was sent home because he was in no condition to wrestle? Yeah, some people were under the influence of alcohol. Yeah, some people might have not been in the greatest of shape. Maybe somebody was sick. But you show up at a job or you show up somewhere and you are sick, you have a temperature, or you have something, they have the right to send you home. So it is a very tricky situation. There is no perfect answer with this. But one thing is for certain, that is something, and I think I said that back in March of last year, that you will have events. That's why when the Ticketmaster story came out, I was surprised how many people thought that was nuts. I remember talking about it in March of last year. If certain events want to only have people at their event that are COVID-free and proof of vaccination, how could, put it this way. They have shut down types of businesses because of COVID. So now you can't stop it when it's the opposite. You've had businesses shut because of COVID. Now you could have businesses open because of the opposite. It's a slippery slope, man. It really is. But yeah, I'm really nervous of what's going to happen next Wednesday when Biden gets put in office. I'm very nervous. I don't want to see what I'm fearing is going to happen in the United States. But we'll talk about that tomorrow, if you want to talk about it. So, all right, everybody, great night. Had a lot of fun. Leave your comments. Let me know, what you thought about the shows, my views on the Inner Circle, the transformation of the Dark Order, some of the Dusty Classic. And, I'll get back to all of you, and I'll catch you all again Thursday night. See, it's weird because I moved everything around. I have the chat room right in front of me now. I used to always look this way. And I would look back at the video and I'm like, it looks kind of rude that I'm looking this way when I'm talking to you all. So now I have your right square in front of me. So when I'm looking to end the stream, okay, button usually, now it's over here and this is over here. So I got to get used to it a little bit. But great night, everyone. And like I said, I think every week now, probably on Saturday on social media, I'm going to keep reposting this picture. And it'll depend on how I felt the week before as far as wrestling goes. So far this week, we haven't seen SmackDown yet, but so far this week, this picture still is the same. I enjoyed NXT and AEW overall tonight, even though we had some shitty segments. Something tells me that SmackDown will be very good as well, and Raw just left me with that constipated look on my face. So if I have a particular week that I feel different about some shows, I will change it around. So I think that will be the running picture from now on. So, doggies! All right, everybody. Much love, and I will catch you all again tomorrow night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, and take care, everybody. Good night.